Nathan, hello again.
Hello, Billy. How are you?
God, we got to stop meeting like this. DA, Los Angeles County DA Nathan Hochman with me right now. The Menendez brothers they are resentenced 50 years to life. Is this disappointing? Is it shocking? Did you expect it?
Well, you know what? Our job was to get all the facts in front of the judge. We did that. Our job is to make sure the judge had the accurate law. We did that as well. We said the Menendezes were not right for resentencing. They still aren't. But the judge, the judge ruled as the judge will, and now sends it to the parole board and ultimately to the governor. So again, the process will play out. If the governor follows the precedent that he set in the Sirhan case, where he looked at all the pro-parole factors, in fact, Sirhan arguably had more pro-parole factors than the Menendez brothers do. He served 54 years in prison, they served 35. He basically was 77 years old in diminishing health. They're in their mid-50s. They each had excellent rehabilitation. They had letters from prison officials on their behalf. They obtained education while in prison. Yet Sirhan did not exhibit the full insight into his criminal actions. And while the Menendez brothers moved a little bit closer today, trying to get there, they're still not there. And Sirhan was at the lowest rating for risk. The Menendez brothers had raised their risk rating up to a moderate level based on their recent deceit in prison. So whether or not they get there to get out on parole and whether or not the governor will ultimately agree with that remains to be seen.
What do you think is behind Judge Jessic's decision?
Well, it's interesting.
How did he get there? Why did he get there? Put yourself in his shoes.
I think he decided to resentence probably a long time ago. And the reason I say that is he managed to hear an entire day's worth of testimony, and rather than stew on it, think about it, asked to see the transcript to make sure his notes were correct, and even write on it and sort of put his thoughts down in a defensible opinion, he ruled from the bench, and after an entire day's worth of testimony, after hundreds of pages of briefing, he ruled in 4 minutes. So again, I think the judge was going to resentence them either way, no matter what we said.
And why do you go a little further? Do you think it's because of TikTok popularity? Do you think it's because there's a sort of people are behind them in general, it seems? What do you think? Why?
Well, hard to get into the psychology of this particular judge. I think that if this was an ordinary resentencing case, he very well probably would have let us withdraw our motion because we established a very legitimate basis, which is the standard for withdrawing a motion. But because this got the publicity it did, that might have influenced his decision not to allow us to withdraw the resentencing motion. And if you add on top of that, the fact that this judge has indicated all along that he's bent to he's bent to not popular opinion, but to the facts that were in favor of resentencing as opposed to the facts that weren't. So that's his right. He can focus on whichever facts he wanted, but clearly the facts that fit his narrative were ones that justified resentencing, not the facts that got in the way of resentencing.
What about all the family members that were in court, and then there was just a press conference held with all the family outside of court? A lot of emotion there. Do you think that was helpful in moving the judge?
I think any time that you're confronted by a whole variety and over 20 different family members that are willing to effectively forgive the murderers of their brother and their sister or their cousins or their aunts and their uncle, I mean, that will have an impact with the judge. As a legal matter, it weighs very little. But does it have a human aspect to it as they sit in his court and he sees them, in these various hearings? I'm sure it did.
Did you have any words with defense attorney Mark Garagos, afterwards? He was crowing a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Maybe you didn't see it when he left, but some guy was chirping in the crowd, and he said, "Oh, that's Nathan Hochman's, spokesman or something." And he was joyful.
Mr. Garagos wanted voluntary manslaughter. He wanted the Menendezes to get out today. He lost that argument. The facts, in order to get to that argument, he had to torture the facts, and the judge wouldn't go there. So the judge gave them 50 years to life, sending them on the course to deal with the parole board and the governor, but wouldn't bend to where Mr. Garagos was trying to take it. Mr. Garagos can be a capable lawyer. It's a shame when he wants to engage in personal attacks against other lawyers because he somehow thinks that helps his client's interests. It actually doesn't. It demeans him, it demeans his arguments, and it sort of takes away from the focus, which should be on the facts and the law of any case.
You'll see him again, probably, won't you?
Inevitably, I'm sure he'll show up in some other case.
Yeah. So what happens now, DA Hochman? Does this go right to the parole board now? June 13th, the parole board convenes. And at that point, if they decide right away, that goes to the governor, right? In that moment, they could be out mid-June.
Well, the governor technically has 90 days to make a decision after he actually, I take it back. He has 180 days to make a decision under the law once he gets word from the parole board. But he can make a decision in the first day or wait in the entire 180 days to decide. I think he's monitoring this case. I hope he does the hard work that we did at the DA's office to really familiarize ourselves with all the facts of the law. And I'm sure the governor then has the final decision on whether or not he wants to set the Menendezes free and effectively overturn the jury's verdict from 35 years ago on a first-degree murder with special circumstances, shotgunning your parents to death, or he wants to, let them serve the rest of their sentence that the jury and the judge gave out over 30 years ago.
Nathan, you were elected to get rid of smash and grabbers, to punish them like crazy, the looters that all this stuff that was going on. That's the reason why people in this city voted for you. The Menendez case had nothing to do with it. This is just, with your election, I don't think that had anything to do with it. It was handed to you when you got here. So with all that you have on your plate now, is this it for your involvement with the Menendez brothers? Will you pick up the phone and call Newsom? Will you stay involved in any way, or are you done with it?
Effectively, I'm done with it. Obviously, if the parole board needs additional input from the DA's office, if the governor decides he wants to reach out and have a conversation, I'm not going to say no to that. But I'm not going to affirmatively put myself into the mix, because you're absolutely right. So, for instance, we're having a press conference tomorrow morning announcing big cases dealing with going after retail thieves and organized retail theft. That's the meat and potatoes of what I do. I deal with violent crime. We deal with 180,000 criminal cases in Los Angeles County every single year. So this is one of those 180,000 cases. It obviously commanded a certain degree of attention, and I will be focused on all the 179,799 other cases that are in this county every single year.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Put those looters away. And also the guys that do the car chases down the highway. Let's stick them in jail for a while, too. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you again.
Yeah, take care. Thanks.
Bye-bye.